Hey, everybody, and welcome to a very special live podcast episode of the Product Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline Snyder, with my delightful co host, Mina Kunlo Sichep. Hey, Mina.
Hey, Jacqueline.
Okay, so today is Friday, March 13th, and we've decided to do an episode that's not edited, but is something that we wanted to get on the air and get to you guys sooner than later. You're all probably going through it right now, but COVID-19 has taken over our lives in the way that things are different. Things that we were doing yesterday or the day before or last week are different than today.
Yeah, it's taking up our mental space for sure. No matter whether or not we think that the virus is going to be impacting our health, we definitely know it's impacting our world, right? Right now, each of us has our kids home,
So if you
and
hear children, it's because they're home.
they're definitely home, and you probably will hear them. But we wanted to give you this immediate information. So we're not going to edit this podcast episode, but whether or not you are, we're seeing the two camps of people being really concerned and people not being concerned at all. We're probably right in the middle, but I would say I'm leaning towards a little bit more concerned because I love to be prepared, for instance. But I think we can all say that we're going to be impacted.
I think concerned is in the way of anxiety. I think each of us deal with anxiety in different ways. And Mina and I definitely have anxiety about certain things, and it's going to come up for people, and everybody has their different spin on it. But this is not meant to be a fear-inducing episode. This is actually an episode that we wanted to talk to you about because no matter what happens, whether it's COVID-19, which is unprecedented, and we're going to get through this, all of it, us together, or if we don't always know what's happening in the world, right? We can't control outside factors. And we want to talk to you a little bit about prepping your business for those outside factors, and specifically right now dealing with COVID-19. And I want to start it by telling you all there is light at the end of the tunnel. So this is what this podcast episode is going to be about. It's going to be that light at the end of the tunnel. And what do you do right now? And the thing that we want to tell you is do not stop working on your business.
Right. Right now, everybody has their own variation of being scared. They're fearful because of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. The only thing that we have control of is our own response. So we have two options here. We can live in that fear and not respond at all and just be stuck and take no action. Or we can take action, get creative, and for me, especially being an entrepreneur and being a creative, and I know this is the way with Jacqueline too, a lot of times I like to be able to control my response, right? Sometimes I'll clean around me, or I'll um, declutter, or, I'll respond in a way that requires action because it feels good to take some sort of action. And from action just comes this release of anxiety, and then at least you have something where you're progressing, right? And you're not stuck in that fear, in that uncertainty, and you're still working on your business, because that is absolutely what you should be doing as an entrepreneur, is knowing that we're in a tunnel right now, and at the end of it, there is an end of it, right? This is all temporary, and we're going to get through it and see where are you going to be at the light at the end of the tunnel.
So here's a question. Have you guys ever thought to yourself, God, if I had more time, I would do X? Well, here's your time. So, we're going to dig into this episode a little bit on what you can take action on for your business. And perhaps because Mina and I work from home, and a lot of us actually work from home, some people that usually work from offices are learning how to or work from home, basically, right?
Telework,
But
is that what it's called?
I don't know. I was getting into teleschooling. But for a lot of you, our product bosses, you guys are working from home and you may already know how to manage. I know a lot of you homeschool your kids. A lot of you also maybe work full time and also work on your product business. So you guys have the step up also in the way that you have an advantage of understanding how to work in the moments that you have. And we want to talk about that. And we want to just talk to you about how you can reassure your customers, how you're going to be able to work with your kids being home, how you can work on your online presence, and really how you can take action, because there will be light at the end of this tunnel. We have this time right now to do some really amazing things with our business. Some of you are going to sell like, I'm not, it's a clean podcast, but you guys, some of our students and masterminders are actually having their best sales of their life because of the types of products, and we'll dig into that. And some of you, I don't think sales have really dropped yet, but some of you are a little bit worried. So let's talk about the things, and some of you may not be worried at all. So we don't want to put that out there either. But we just want to talk about some of the things you can do right now for your business so you feel like you're taking action um, as we work through this together.
Right. And our action is the only thing we have control of, right? I think I mentioned in our multi-stream machine call earlier today that this is um, our way of being proactive, right? We're proactively pivoting, right? This proactive pivoting is what we all have to do. We have to get scrappy as entrepreneurs. We have to be creative. We have to understand that this is our superpower. This is our time, right? We already know how to work from home. We already know how to get creative. We already know how to get scrappy. How are we going to do it in whatever way coronavirus is impacting our world? So, should we start with like if it's a slow season or a forced slow season, what they should
Yeah.
be doing?
So we're going to put you guys into two camps right now. We're going to put those of you, well, maybe three, but there's some people that have appropriate products that are selling really well. Like we have Seattle Elderberry, she's selling really well because she's selling elderberry syrup in a time that people want to up their immune systems. We have Heartland Lettering, who sells reusable bottles, like pump bottles for hand wash and soap. Those are doing really well. So we have some students that are doing really well. Then we also, so this might be your time. As we said in our group the other day, make it rain.
It's true. There's clear winners in every circumstance as we kind of navigate through this whole coronavirus pandemic.
Right.
And so there'll be winners and there'll be the ones that just do something else.
I wouldn't
Right.
say winners. I'm just saying some people it's like it's their time. Some
Yeah.
people I think you guys can spin it. So we also have a couple some of our students sell kids toys, and they might be able to lean in a different way and market their product in a different way right now to people whose children are going to be home for longer extended periods of time. And then there might be some people we have a lot of jewelry companies that we work with that it may or may not be the thing. I'm not assuming for people, but I'm just sending an idea out. Some giftable items may not be the thing that people are purchasing right now, but there are things you can do. So we're going to start with if it feels like your slow season, and then we'll work our way up from there.
Right. So if it feels like your slow season, and a lot of us are being forced into a slow season, right? So depending on what our product is, we should approach it as if we're reevaluating our businesses, right? We're getting down to the bare bones of it. What is something that you could be working on right now that will move your business forward, right? So a lot of times that is systems. What could you be doing to work on your business in your quote unquote slow season right now? So then by the end of this tunnel that we're in, that you will have still built up your business and moved it forward.
Right. And so we teach this in multi-stream machine, and those people that have signed up recently for it, and we are opening cart on it in like as of the
And then this
29th of
month, I think.
March.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we had a multi-stream machine call this morning, and we were talking to them, the coolest thing about the course is that you can go to any module at any time that you need. And so we were talking to some of them as they're thinking about what other platforms should they be on. This might be the time that they're getting ready to sell wholesale or thinking about what kind of line sheets do I need and how do I prep for that? Or maybe they never got their emails together and they haven't been sending emails. Or maybe they need to work on their SEO. Or we talked about pricing. Where are the holes in your business? What pricing structure do you have to work on? Maybe your inventory is a mess and it's time to work on your inventory or getting better shipping rates. So there are a lot of things and systems that we think, well, I'll get to that one day, or I don't have time for that. And if you're feeling like it's your quote unquote slow season, we say to work on your business versus in your business. In your business is when you're like hustling and shipping and doing all those things. And when you get to work on your business, it's all those things that you wish you could like update or add or clean or organize or just make better. And that's something you can do right now.
Right. I mean, I think there's never you know, there's never enough time for us to get this all done. We always have something that we can improve in our businesses. So let's say it is website and SEO. That happens to be a long-term or search engine optimization for those of you that don't know what it is. It's basically improving your traffic that comes to your website, right? Searchability. So that's a long-term play anyways, right? That's a long-term thing that you could be working on right now. That's actually, you have this time to do it as your kids are home, let's say, and you could allot some time for you to work, let's say a couple hours a day. And during that time, hey kids, this is when you are reading a book or, doing your own homework or doing ABC Mouse or drawing or coloring or playing a board game.
Or playing video games, as my son has now decided that he gets to do at all times.
Right? So putting that into your schedule, like from 10 to 12, mama or daddy's going to work. And this is the time when you guys have your own work time as well, quote unquote, work time on school
Yeah.
or video games.
Yeah. So that's something we want you guys to think about. So if you're starting to feel anxious or if those feelings are coming up and you're like, I don't know if things are going to happen with sales, we want you guys to get ahead of the things that you need to do. Another one of our masterminders that we were talking to, it's really hard sometimes for her to keep up on production when she's really in it. She's selling so much of what she sells, and her product right now may or may not be the thing that people are wanting to buy when they're scrambling for toilet paper of all things, And so with her, we're like, can you get ahead of your production? Because remember, guys, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. This is temporary. That's what we're trying to say to you. This is a temporary thing. And so if she could take this time, it's like that time you wish you had where maybe the orders aren't coming in, but you can catch up. If she could take it and dive into her best sellers, for example, and make more of those because she knows that they sell and start to stock that inventory, when the floodgates open up again and people are regular consumers, then she will be ready for that. Which,
Right.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we've all been there before, right? Where we've like bare bones it and taken our kids to the post office with us or, leaned into our bestsellers and figured out our systems, taken photos with our kids running around, taking our own photos. It's just a matter of getting scrappy.
Right. And we're mentioning bestsellers because we had this planned prior to COVID-19 hitting the world. We have a bestseller secrets challenge happening on the March 23rd.
Hmm.
And it's a 5-day free challenge and it's a training. And this is not meant to be an ad to you guys. I'm just saying it because Mina and I considered perhaps not doing it
Hmm.
because we're like, is it irrelevant right now if people are really freaking out? And we've had some conversations about it, and we decided that as of right now, we're going to do it. We're going for it because one way that we would tell you guys to improve your business right now is lean into your best sellers. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about. Because if you're feeling strapped for cash, or if sales are slower, or if you basically the point of this challenge also is like if you feel like you throw spaghetti at the wall because you're trying to see what sticks and what people will buy, you guys are also basically throwing money away because you're spending money testing all these different things without the results of revenue, right? The more you spread your money around, some are going to sell and some are not going to sell. So what we're going to work on and teach in these 5 days is that we're going to help you identify your bestseller. We're going to help you identify like the margins and how you're going to create really amazing offers for these bestsellers and lean into those because that will be the thing that propels your business forward. So if you're feeling a little bit tight with revenue or income or sales, then it will be a really good and appropriate thing to do because this is where you'll pull back a bit, but really focus and really push your best sellers with your best offers. And that's what's going to then start that, we call it like that snowball of sales for you and really help generate the revenue your business needs without it spending or wasting money on other things.
Right. And it's really about honing it in, leaning into your best sellers and honing in. And that's really what systems is really all about. You're saving money because, we'll talk more about this in the challenge, but you're saving money because you know where it's going to. You're doing a sure thing, right? And like Jacqueline said, if you have your money and your cash flow distributed in inventory that can't move because you're testing out a new product, it's much harder to sell something that that you're not sure if it's going to sell. So, especially in uncertain times like this. So, I think that what we ended up deciding was it is super appropriate, actually. And it's a perfect solution to what's going on for a lot of our business owners and small business owners, is that they don't know what to do. They don't know what to take action on. And when you do lean into your bestseller, taking action on something that you're really good at and is an easy approach, you become more confident in selling it. You just, you're it's just easier, right? You can push it forward, um, all these different things while all these other things are happening in the world. It seems super appropriate for the times that we're in right now.
Right. So again, this is not really meant to be an ad for it, but this is just an inside look at Mina and myself, like our business and what we've been considering, and that it really is important information for you guys. So we just want you to have these tips and tools, whether you're working on your systems, whether you're working on your visibility, whether you're working on really addressing what does work in your business and what doesn't. So if it's your quote unquote slow season, we want you to work on your business. So now let's move to that middle realm of maybe there's a way to spin it, right? Maybe you're going in. One of the
Hmm.
calls yesterday, one of our coaching calls, someone was like, I was going to do this. I was going to start advertising on Google, and I was going to start advertising on Facebook and something else. And she's like, but I've pulled it all back because I'm afraid of the coronavirus. And I don't think it's the right time for me to spend money on ads. Well, we convinced her
Well,
that it
actually,
might
she
be.
said Amazon.
Mm,
It was Amazon and Facebook ads. And what I ended up telling her is that it's the perfect time to lean into Amazon ads because it's pay per click. So people are you're only paying for people who actually click. Now, the silver lining to Amazon sellers for this coronavirus is that there's not a lot of Chinese sellers on there right now. So the competition is not as inundated either, right? So this is, the second grouping of people that we're going to talk about are the ones that will have to spin it in a way that you can lean towards being more relevant in this situation. And I think that's 100% of all of us. I think we all need to somehow position ourselves to pertain to the time that we are in right now. And it's really thinking about how can I provide information and reassure my customers in a useful way that allows me to send a little bit of like goodwill out there, but at the same time I'm being of service to them because me offering sales is servicing them as well.
right. So this student of ours, she was saying that she sells children's toys, and she was
Hmm.
getting really afraid. And I said, I don't know if my kids are going to be back in school next week. I'm literally looking on Amazon and thinking, what can I buy online to keep my kids busy? And so that right there was that a couple things I want to pull from this. One, online sales are going to be up. Yes, there's going to be the little bit at the very beginning of people thinking that they need to go to the grocery store and stock up on things and get food and all that. And then they're going to be home and they're going to adjust, and then they're going to get bored. I was talking about peeling wallpaper off today because depending on how many weeks you're home with your family, there's also going to be this sense of needing and wanting to do something, and also figuring out how can I keep my kids busy. So we were like, maybe she can do like mom survival kits, or like kids are home for the next 30 days, like here's a pack I can put together for you of toys to keep your kids entertained and to really lean into certain keywords. And maybe she sends an email, or maybe she does a Pinterest post. We also have another one of our students who sells um, alcohol mix kits, and she's seen a crazy uptick because people who are selling alcohol, that is something that, and people are calling it mom survival kits, or they're calling it certain things. So there's a way that you guys can lean into your product as well if you get super creative and spin it to the situation, because people still need to amuse themselves at home, whether they're going to do online education, whether like we said, like the challenge. Well, maybe at that point you guys are going to want to do some online education, whether their kids are going to be on iPads more, or they're going to be so sick of their kids being on iPads, they're going to look for things for their kids to do, and so many other things that you can do with your business.
Right. And I think that there's a sensitivity that you have to think about. We're not saying like to do this as in mom survival kit, ha ha type of thing. It's definitely like, we're right there with you. We get it. Our own kids are here with us, and we are wanting to peel wallpaper from the wall. Right. So I think that there's concerns about how to approach the situation. And I think that if you approach it in a useful way and you reassure your customers in that way rather than in a fearful way, then they will always find it helpful, because whether or not we all are getting impacted. We're all in the same boat. This is a it's a worldwide pandemic, so we all are thinking about certain things, and we're concerned, we're on that, some of us are more concerned and some of us are less concerned, but at the same time, we all are having to deal with the possibility of our kids being home.
And some of you may not have kids home. Your kids might be at a different point, but it also might just be working from home or
Right.
self-isolation or whatever it is. Just what I think what people keep trying to say is just our ways of life are changed without sort of awareness of how to do this. And so uh we want you guys, that's what we were saying, like relate to your customers, create content for your customers that they can relate to. Even if it is an email, like you could sell, maybe you sell children's toys, but you could write like, you working from home with your kids too? Do like, these are some tips that I have. Or if you're a jewelry company, you might be sending an email out to your customers saying like, it could be, brighten someone's day. Do you know someone who's like in Seattle, or do you have somebody that's, maybe you brighten their day, we'll send gifts. We're still shipping. Let them know that you guys are still actively working. We have another one of our students who posted something locally and said, I'll deliver them to your door. And people purchased. So we just want you guys to get creative and spin it, because I think you're all really creative. Like Mina said, we can pivot. And I think because you guys are entrepreneurs and you started these businesses, you're creative. So tap into that.
Right. And I think that also right now, as a whole, we're all concerned, maybe a little concerned, maybe a lot concerned. So even we've seen like an uptick in our knitting businesses because people use that for self-care in a way and stress relief, right? So even if it's like stuck at home and need some stress relief, here's this bundle. Or if it's, need to brighten up your walls, here's some art that is perfect for releasing your mind of, what's going on in the world. So we all need that release. We're humans. We need that connection. We need that, a little bit of levity too. And just phrase it in a way that would be perfect for your specific audience.
Right. And we even told some of our students yesterday, they could even just send an email that's like, looking for something fun to watch on TV. And these are my top 5 TV shows like I watch, right? These are just connections, real people connecting with real people. That's what we teach you guys all the time. In a year of content, in all the courses that we teach, it's like, you're a small business. These people are human beings. Let's connect. The same way that we're being super candid with you on this episode, we're 2 real people going through the same thing, and we're trying to be as creative as possible for you guys to come up with ways. Actually, the advice you're hearing us say here is what our students and masterminders are, working with us for. And we were like, let's share this. Let's just share our ideas with everyone. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. I mean, we started having the conversation quite some time ago on how to prepare for business. It's so ever evolving though. I mean, the world was different 2 days ago.
Oh, we recorded a podcast episode for you guys last week with an interview and then didn't air it because we weren't sure if it was our place, and we were still a little bit ahead of all the stuff that's happened. And then we were talking about it yesterday. We're like, irrelevant today.
Yeah, it is irrelevant today, but I think right now we've been having so many conversations with our community, with our students and with our masterminders, that it's good to have the conversation. So this is literally a peek behind the scenes, unedited, that we're having these conversations with our spouses, with our children, with our sisters, our families, So right now is where we all are going to have to be okay with the fact that there's a little bit of a new normal that's coming up.
Right.
And as entrepreneurs, how are we going to take action on that?
Right. So whatever camp you're in, what we do want to tell you guys, and this is what we're telling our multi-stream machine students this morning when we do a live call once a month, was that for example, we told them go to the module of online. So you may have had ideas of doing things. You might have had in person. We have some of our students were going to South by Southwest and that was canceled. And there's all these things that they had planned, the trade shows, things in person. Well, the coolest thing about the course for us, what we were saying was that they have all these tools at their disposal to come up with other ways to sell when one way doesn't work, which was the entire point, right, of this course was like if one leg of your stool gets knocked out from under you, you've got others. And so we want that for you guys. I think you guys can lean into online. Amazon did its best business during the recession of selling ebooks,
Ebooks,
right?
no, ebooks and paperbacks. Like there's a big statistic on the fact that that's literally how they created their big snowball from moving from books all the way to everything now. They sell everything now, and they boomed in the recession. So, virtual right now is where it's going to be at, and local. So I think those two places, because virtual, like what does your online presence look like? Can you work on your SEO? Can you work on perhaps your email list and segmenting that? Can you work on your Instagram? Can you work on your Pinterest? And then local wise, can you just sell from your porch, right? Ultimately, people want that connection either online or they want it where it's like, hey, how can I grab this? Like that Seattle elderberry is literally selling off of her porch
I
at
mean,
this
she's
point.
shipping countrywide and off
Yeah.
her porch because
And
they're
off.
just, yeah, they're doing
Mhm.
amazing. So, and you guys, she's in a place where it's worse off than others, and her business is still running, post office is running, things are still running. So it's just perfect proof that you can still keep your business running and you lean in when you can lean in. So think about these creative ways. Don't miss out on your friends and family, or like we said, local people, other moms and at school, communities that you're a part of. Lean in to all of that. So a couple other things so we're talking about working on your online presence, your website, your SEO, your email list, your Instagram. We want you to dig into it. We want you to think, can you spin your product for good during this time? So is there something helpful about your product? Can you be really creative about that? And then I guess we kind of want to round out sort of like maybe some tips for how to work from
Right.
home. If your kids are home,
I
if
want to
you're
tell a quick story about this morning since
sure.
this is top of mind. So I was freaking out this morning, you guys, because you know what? We take turns freaking out, it seems. And so Jacqueline had to talk me off the ledge a bit because I was just so concerned about all the things that were happening. And she reminded me that there's light at the end of the tunnel and this is temporary. And it's hard having two businesses, right? I have Low Labels and I have the Product Bossing with Jacqueline. She has two businesses. And she gave me some ideas. And that's what we're trying to do with you guys, is that sometimes just having that injection of ideas, that creativity, that knowing that you can take action in this time is such a relief. And that's what it was for me. So she gave me some ideas for Low Labels, right? So if I were to send out an email, let's say, hey, if you're concerned about germs, or hey, so Low Labels are waterproof labels where you write your name on there and you can mark, you know, who owns what, right? They're washable and waterproof. So she gave the suggestion of emailing my people and saying, here is an idea if you want to mark your cups or your plates. So then this is moms, this is dads, this is brothers, this is sisters. And then so there's no interchanging of towels too, because they're washable with waterproof labels. And so that gave me an idea of how I can, one, reassure my customers, because I'm sure that's super helpful, but two, also providing in a way that, I'm selling, but I'm also serving. Right. And that helped me a lot in my mindset. I calmed right down, but it just also injected this creativity of, you know what, it's true. We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all been creative from the very beginning. We do it every single day. So if we can figure out how to place our products in a useful way to our customers, that is literally the superpower of an entrepreneur. You guys can do this and we will get through it together. And I think that a lot of times too, it takes somebody else pointing that out to us, like Jacqueline did for me this morning. So take the time to sit down and maybe like have a brainstorming session with a fellow product boss and see what ideas that you could come up with that would be helpful. And so we'll kind of walk into those of some tips that we've been thinking about for tips of being at home with your kids and how you can navigate that as working from home.
And really quick, just to, as you're saying that, that's part of the reason we built this community, right? That you
Mhm.
guys are not alone. We're in this with you, and we wanted to create the community of people around you that were fellow product entrepreneurs, because it's really hard to go talk to your friend next door. They're worried about something else. You're like, I sell product, and are people going to buy my product? And like I said, like with Mina, I'm like, cleanliness, like keeping things to yourselves. Like, this is mom's bottle, this is dad's bottle, or cups. I was talking about cups and plates and
Mhm.
stuff, or face towels. So I do want to say that we can continue this conversation with you guys. We're going to put links in the show notes, but we have our general Facebook community where it's a large community, but there's always conversations happening. And the Bestseller Secrets Challenge community, it's a pop-up group for the challenge that's coming up in a week, but that's probably going to be one of the more active groups, a smaller group as well, that Mina and I are going to be in, really talking about bestsellers and how to do that. So we can definitely talk about this in there. Like you're going to get that help of like, how do I spin this idea? Or maybe people can offer those ideas for you if you can't come up with it. Or if you do come up with a few, the community can help give you feedback. So if you're not in those communities, let's get you in there so that we can just support you in this and you feel like you've got your biz bestie.
Right. Okay. So, Jacqueline, so have you been having conversations about the kids being at home?
Yeah, so I just got notification just recently that they're home and my
They
husband's a
are
broad
indeed home. They've been home, but they are home now.
they're home now. And
Mhm.
my husband's a Broadway actor, and last night, right before the show was going to go on, he got notification that the shows are closed for the next 4 weeks. So we are all home.
Mhm.
Um, and my work is online and it's from home. And so my work needs to continue and he needs to take care of the kids. So yesterday in our call, Mina, you were getting really, because you're super organized with times and stuff like that. So let's talk about what you were suggesting to the community.
Yeah, I always like to start with my schedule because that is where we all thrive is in routine, right? And that's kind of because right now our fear that we have is the unknown. Like it's an imperfect routine though. So for me, just saying into my schedule and saying to my kids from 10 to noon, that is when mama's going to be working and the door is going to be closed. And from 10 to noon is when you guys can work on whatever you want to. And so for instance, my there's already processes that we can take from schools. My daughter, for instance, has may do, must do, or must do, may do time. So that means there's a list of things that she must do, and then a list of things that she may do. So must do is you must read for 15 minutes. You must I don't know, some things to do with school, right? So we can create our own list. That might be what we do. And then here's the may do things: play video games, um, I don't know, whatever else that's like kind of like the fun stuff that she may do. So it's must do, may do time. So for me, it's easier just to incorporate the same things that she's already been doing. So if she has computer time or if she has other things, then I don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to start teaching my kids. Because nobody has, like, if you're not already equipped to do that, it's really hard to jump into something like that. So first and foremost, I set aside the time and then I relayed that information to them. And then secondly, we worked on it together of here's what the things that you must do during that time, and here are the things that you may do. And I took that from something that already existed.
Right. And with us, I have my son's in first grade. So we basically just went through with him and we said, well, what's your day look like at school? Because I think another thing that people really want or children want is consistency. And we're not
Hmm.
child psychologists. This is actually off of an article I read. So I want it to mimic. He knows how to follow the rules at school. So same thing here. Well, when do you read? When do you do math? Because they're sending all that work home with us. But from the working from home thing, you can time block or you can day block. So if you have family around or husband or your kids are older or you have no kids, there you may either block out your time of you work on visibility on certain days and you work on systems on other days and you ship on other days. Right now, let's say for Seattle Elderberry, she needs to ship every day because she's doing, it's a busy season for her. And she's not able to necessarily work on these other things probably because she's so busy. For you guys, depending on where you're at, you could divide up your days, whether it's like in the morning you do this, in the afternoon you do this, or, Wednesdays I work on my SEO. And then block it out. Just like Mina said, like find those time blocks that you're going to work on things. And then you too are going to need to shut things off and take some self-care time and do the things that you need to do. Also choose when and how often you're going to check the news. And my life coach had given me the thing of, she said, try to pick like one or two, maybe three credible sources that you're going to look to and try not to get stuck in all the other stuff. Right. So to not spin out, she's like, and then choose those times. So maybe don't do it before bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because then you don't get any sort of sleep. Also know that time can be well spent. Um, it's like we're all in lockdown. So what are you going to do with that time, right? So you can time block also for education, right? Self-improvement. So if you're going to start doing, let's say, even our students for MSM, if they want to start working on their emails or segmenting or figuring out what their email plan is or their Instagram plan or whatever, they time block for that. That is self-improvement or learning time because we're all going to be stuck at home. So it's kind of like, I suppose, if you're in prison and you get a degree.
I don't even think we should refer to that topic because we're not the people for it. But I will say though that, for example, we know a lot of people when we do our lives or some of our coaching calls, a lot of you have full-time jobs and then nights and weekends are when you work on your products. So when Mina's talking about online education, there might be things happening during day hours, like our challenge is happening during day hours, that sometimes you maybe weren't able to participate. So find things that you're interested in that you want to learn about, download, ebooks or audiobooks, catch up on some podcast episodes that you want, like fill your mind the same way that we're talking about homeschooling children or keeping your kids active. You too need to stay active, and then find the things that you want to do. Like if you wanted to organize your garage or go out in your garden, the weather's going to get better. I mean, some of you might be in apartments, but just find those things that, whether they're work or personal, that you can advance yourself in, right? Because now you've got all this kind of like opened up time a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You might still have your full-time job that you have to do, but there is just extra time at home, right? Instead of us being
Right.
out or going to the movies or doing other things.
Right. When I was talking about like that proactive pivoting, we're going to have to figure that out in the scope of possibly having our kids at home. So this is kind of a bit of the tips for that of what are you going to do with your kids? And even if you directly don't have your kids, your consumers and your customers are thinking about that. And there's probably some of them that do have kids. So really thinking about that, oh, how can I, you know, service them in these times that they do probably have kids at home.
Right. And I think that goes back to then being relevant in their inbox or being
Mm-hmm.
relevant online for them, right? Can you do something? Is there another superpower that you have outside of your product that you can offer them?
Mm-hmm.
You may have, like we have, one of our students from Multi-Shoot Machine who automatically homeschools her kids. So we asked her to go, and she's in our communities, and she's mentioning to everybody, like, this is how I homeschool my kids. So that could even be a blog post or an email that has nothing to do with the product she sells that she emails out to her customers. And I also want to just remind you guys that people can still shop and they can shop online.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start to lean into that. Let's start to lean into getting them to purchase and or engage with you or find visibility, because the last thing I want to leave this on is that the big guys, they can't pivot as easy. They have
Mm-hmm.
huge teams. They have massive amounts of things happening. They're going to see slowdowns in their retail environments, right? Like people are probably not going to the malls. So they might also pull back on their ads on Facebook. They might pull back on some of the things they're sending. Guess what? This is the time the small business can pop on in and send the emails or pop into Instagram feeds or potentially run ads that just gives you this visibility where it's not overwhelmed by the big guys, because they have bigger struggles sometimes, right? Where they're importing from and all that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is going to be, we're going to see a lot of small businesses rise to the top,
Yeah.
right? And especially at the end of the tunnel, right? A lot of it will be small business. We saw that even in 2008 or any sort of pandemic, even any sort of
Not pandemic, but some sort of,
recession.
yeah.
Yeah. So the small businesses rise to the top because you know what? They can just be like, you know what? I'm going to commit to doing more emails, or I'm going to improve. I'm going to start showing up live every day. The big guys can't just decide, I'm going to start showing live every day.
You
Right.
guys are agile. You guys can pivot. There's so many opportunities. You don't have red tape or boards of directors you have to talk to or a bunch of management teams to change everything for your employees. So I started my business in 2007, consulting people starting fashion brands. And I will tell you that 2007, 2008, 2009 were some of my best years because big businesses were not doing as well. And it left room for, like Mina said, for small businesses to rise to the top, for people to get really creative and scrappy and do that. And you two are going to do that. And that's how I think we should conclude this episode with that. You guys get scrappy, get creative, know that this is short term and that we're here for you and that this community is here for you. And it's going to be, it's, we can't, we're not fortune tellers, but there are so many amazing things you can be doing right now. And we just want to encourage that.
Yes. So we will see you guys in the Facebook group or in any of our other, on Instagram. Make sure you guys find us there at The Product Boss. And thanks for sharing this time with us, you guys. We're happy to be in this boat with you.
Yeah. So all of you stay healthy, stay safe, and happy selling.
Thanks, everybody.